Let me be real with you. Your intuition isn't weak. You've just been ignoring it because most people think they need to build intuition when actually they need to stop overriding it. Because if you look at your life honestly, you've had the feeling, the nudge, the instinct, the quiet, this isn't right or this is the move. But what do? You question it. You explain it away. You ask someone else. You waited. And then later you realized you were right. So this isn't about you lacking intuition. It's about you not trusting it enough to follow it. And that's exactly what we're fixing today because we're in June. Energy body 6, your intuitive body. This is the part of you that already knows. And in a universal year 1 where you're being asked to step into self-leadership and actually make aligned decisions. You don't need more options. You need to sharpen your connection to your own knowing. If you're new here, hi, I'm Cherry. I'm your spiritual life coach, numerologist, and energy alchemist. And on this channel, we don't just talk about intuition like it's some mystical concept. We make it practical, embodied, something you can actually use in your life. So before we go any deeper, if you're ready to stop second guessing yourself and start trusting your intuition, hit subscribe and tap the notification bell and join this space. Because this isn't just about feeling intuitive. It's about living like someone who trusts themselves. So let's get into it. Before we even talk about strengthening your intuition, we need to get clear on what it actually feels like, because this is where most people get it wrong. They think, if I feel unsure, I must not be intuitive. If I feel nervous, it must be wrong. If I'm not 100% certain, I shouldn't trust it. And that's exactly why you keep ignoring it, because intuition doesn't feel the way you expect it to. Intuition is simple. It's quick. It's not loud. It's that first clean signal you get before your mind jumps in. It sounds like, this feels right. This isn't it. I don't want to do that. I need to move on this. No over-explaining. No long reasoning. Just a knowing. And then what happens? Your mind takes over. What if I'm wrong? What if this doesn't work? What will people think? And suddenly, what was clear feels confusing. So you assume the confusion means you don't know. But that's not true. You knew, and then you overrode it. So let's separate this properly. Your intuition is calm, it's direct, it's simple. It doesn't need to prove itself. Your anxiety overthinks, questions everything, looks for worst case scenarios, needs constant reassurance. And here's the part that matters. You can feel anxious and still be right. Just because something feels uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong. Sometimes it's just unfamiliar. Sometimes it's because you're about to do something different. So stop using discomfort as the reason to dismiss your intuition, because if you do, you'll keep choosing what feels safe instead of what's actually aligned. And that's the difference we're closing. I want you to learn to recognize what you feel first versus what your mind adds after, because your intuition always comes first. You've just been trained not to listen to it. So if your intuition is actually simple and clear, why don't you trust it? Why do you still second guess yourself, even when something feels obvious? Because this didn't come out of nowhere. You learned to doubt yourself. At some point, trusting your own instinct didn't feel safe. Maybe your choices were questioned. Maybe you were told you were wrong. Maybe you learned it was easier to follow what other people expected of you. So over time, you stopped backing yourself. You started looking outside of yourself for answers, for approval, for reassurance, for someone to confirm what you already felt. And the more you did that, the weaker your self-trust became. Not because your intuition disappeared, but because you stopped using it. You stopped acting on it. You trained yourself to override it. So now even when you feel something clearly, there's a gap between what you feel and what you actually do. And that gap, that's where your self-trust breaks down. Because every time you ignore yourself, you reinforce the belief, I can't trust what I feel. And then you look for more information, more validation, more certainty, hoping that will fix it. But it won't, because self-trust isn't built through more answers. It's built through action, through choosing to back yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable. And this is where most people get stuck. They want to trust themselves, but they don't want to risk being wrong. And here's the truth you need to hear. You're not going to trust yourself by avoiding decisions. You build trust by making them and then backing yourself in them. So this isn't about waiting until you feel more confident. It's about deciding that your inner signal is enough to move on, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not certain, because that's how self-trust is built. Not by getting it right every time, but by actually choosing. So let's talk about what this actually is costing you, because ignoring your intuition isn't neutral. It's not just something that keeps things the same. It actively keeps you out of alignment. Every time you feel something clearly and then choose something else, you create friction. You say yes when you mean no. You stay when you know it's time to leave. You delay decisions you already understand. And at first, it might not seem like a big deal, but those moments add up, because every time you override yourself, you move further away from what actually feels right for you. And that shows up in your life as feeling stuck, feeling frustrated, feeling like you're not fully yourself, because you're not. You're making decisions based on what feels safer, what other people might think, what avoids discomfort, instead of what you actually feel. And over time, that disconnect builds. You start to feel confused about what you want, unsure about your direction, dependent on other people's opinions. Not because you don't know, but because you've stopped listening to yourself. And this is the part that people don't like hearing. You can't create a life that feels aligned while consistently ignoring what you feel. It doesn't work. You'll keep ending up in situations that don't feel right, making decisions you have to second guess, living a version of your life that feels slightly off and wondering why. Well, this is why. Because your intuition is there to guide you, not to be debated, not to be overanalyzed, not to be dismissed every time it's inconvenient. And the more you ignore it, the louder that misalignment becomes, that frustration you feel, that sense of something isn't quite right. That's not confusion. That's you not listening to yourself. And if you want that to change, you don't need more clarity. You need to start acting on what you already feel. So let's bring this back to you where you are right now, because this isn't just about improving something over time. This is about what this moment is asking of you. We're in June, Energy Body 6, your intuitive body, which means your awareness is sharper. You're seeing things faster, feeling what's off more clearly, recognizing what needs to change without needing as much time to figure it out. So if things feel more obvious right now, that's not random. That's your intuition doing exactly what it's meant to do. But here's where it gets real. We're also in a universal year one. This is a year where you don't just realize things, you act on them. This is a year where your life starts shifting based on your decisions, not your intentions, not your awareness, your actions. So if you keep doing what you've been doing, feeling something, questioning something, delaying it or ignoring it, you're reinforcing the old version of you, the one who doubted herself, looks outside of herself, avoids discomfort. And that version doesn't move forward. But the version of you this year is trying to build. She's different. She trusts what she feels. She makes decisions. She moves, even when it's uncomfortable. So this isn't about strengthening your intuition as a concept. It's about becoming someone who actually uses it, because the clarity is already there. The only question is, are you going to act on it? Because that's what this moment is asking of you. Not more understanding, more ownership. So if you want to actually strengthen your intuition, this is how you do it. Not through more learning, through how you move every day. First practice is this. Act on small instincts immediately, because you don't build trust in big life-changing moments. You build it in the small ones. When you feel, I don't want to go to that, I need to say no to this, I should message that person. Act on it. Don't sit there analyzing it for an hour. Don't ask 3 people what they think. Move on it. Because every time you act on a small instinct, you reinforce, I can trust myself. And that builds. The second practice is stop asking for confirmation you don't need. This one's big, because every time you ask someone else, what do you think I should do? You weaken your own connection. So before you go outside of yourself, pause and ask, what do I already feel is right? And start there, even if it feels uncomfortable. The third practice is this. Create space to actually hear yourself. Because if you're constantly consuming, scrolling, watching, listening, you're filling your mind with noise. And your intuition, it's quiet. So you need space. Even just 5 or 10 minutes a day where you're not taking anything in. No phone, no input, no distractions. Just you. Because that's where your intuition becomes clearer. The fourth practice is follow through, even when it's inconvenient. This is where most people fall off. They feel something, but because it's uncomfortable, awkward, or inconvenient, they ignore it, and that breaks the trust again. So your job is to follow through, even when it's not ideal, even when it feels uncomfortable, because that's what builds consistency. And the final one, and this is the most important, is stop expecting your intuition to feel perfect. It won't. It's not going to give you full certainty. It's not going to remove all doubt. It's going to give you direction. And then it's up to you to move. So if you're waiting for it to all feel completely clear, calm and comfortable before you act, you'll keep missing it, because intuition isn't about perfection. It's about movement. And the more you move with it, the stronger it becomes. So let's bring this back to you. You don't need to become more intuitive. You already are. You felt it. You've recognized it. You've had those moments where you just knew. The only thing that's been missing, you trusting it enough to act on it. And that's what changes everything, because your intuition doesn't get stronger from understanding it. It gets stronger from using it, from acting on those small instincts, from backing yourself in your decisions, from choosing to trust what you feel, even when it's uncomfortable. That's how self-trust is built, not in theory, in practice. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. Stop waiting to feel more certain and start moving on what you already know, because that's where your clarity is. That's where your confidence comes from. That's how you become someone who actually trusts herself. So if this landed for you, if you're ready to stop second guessing and actually start living from your intuition, make sure you hit subscribe and tap the notification bell, because this series is designed to take you from overthinking and self-doubt into clarity and self-leadership, step by step. And if you want to go deeper with this, you can grab my free numerology guide in the description box below. It'll help you understand your natural decision-making patterns and where you might be overriding your intuition. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start moving with real clarity, then book a numerology roadmap breakthrough session. They're free and 30 minutes long. This is where we map out your patterns, your strengths, and your direction, so you can actually trust yourself and move forward with confidence. No more second guessing, no more circling, just clarity, alignment, and action. Take a breath and start listening to yourself. So I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.